Hey guys, Jeff from Ethical Practice here, and I'm really pleased to welcome to our video today Alyssa Dazet from Figure Acupuncture. Now, Alyssa has been in practice since 2010. She had a roaring practice in Santa Monica, I think was right. Yep, and now she's traveling around the world trying to spread the acupuncture love. So, welcome, Alyssa.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about touring around the world, spreading the acupuncture love. What are you trying to do there?
I like how you're wording that. Spread the acupuncture love. I'm working on cultivating the global acupuncture community because there's so much that we can learn from each other to really help forward our profession. And I feel that overall, we're not really joined together cohesively as a community. So I am, attending international congresses, meeting acupuncturists in all countries all over the world, just really creating that community for us.
Fantastic.
It's been a lot of fun.
I can imagine you'd be meeting some amazing people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing practitioners doing amazing things too, which is what I'm working on introducing everybody to through my social media, because they are doing some amazing things in our medicine that's so inspiring that so many people don't even know about.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's we really do have a disconnect, I think, within our community, and I'm just really pleased to see that someone's taken up the baton and having a crack at trying to pull these things together a little bit more. Good on you.
Thanks.
So Alyssa works with practitioners, has a coaching business, as I mentioned, Figure Acupuncture. Series of different programs. So she works, like we do in helping practitioners to develop the business side of their practice. So I just thought maybe for the viewers today, Alyssa, if you had a bit of an idea about, say, maybe 3 issues that you think you find are quite common with the people that you work with.
Yeah, definitely. And what's so interesting too is that since doing the coaching work, I found that it's global, because I started in the United States and I didn't realize that acupuncturists all over the world are having the same problems. So all over the world, I have found that definitely number 1 is mindset. Okay. We just have so much, I think, negativity about the ability to succeed in our profession.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to retrain your brain with positivity and success and inspiration and motivation. That's such an important part to your success, to really be aware of the information that you're having come in, who you're listening to for advice, what media are you listening to, what Facebook groups are you following, because all that stuff can be really toxic in your head and your mindset if it's not positive. And if you're listening to people who say, oh, this is so hard, you're never going to make it,
Absolutely.
So mindset is, number 1. Oh.
Well, I think...
You froze for a second.
I think that, certainly in my experience, I would agree 100%. I think that, we become essentially a product of our environment, don't we? So if we're, as you say, constantly exposing ourselves to an environment that's saying you're never going to survive, it's really tough out there, a lot of people don't survive, and there's a really low percentage rate of people that survive, those sorts of things, that can really start to wear you down. I mean, certainly sometimes those things can also motivate you in the sense of saying, you know what, damn this, I'm going to be the one that makes a difference. But we need to know how to make that difference if we haven't had the experience in running a business, and particularly running a practice, which so many practitioners haven't. So I would agree with you on that one. That's a huge one. Any other thoughts
on the mindset,
or just any other thoughts on the mindset, or other issues that you think are common?
Well, you know me, like you said, I could talk all day.
No, I think you said that. I said I could talk all day.
Okay, so the second thing that I see that kind of goes hand in hand with mindset is practitioner confidence.
Yeah.
As acupuncturists, on average, we have about 4 years of school. But then we get out of school and we feel like we know nothing. I don't know why, but it's really, really common. Something to do with, how the the schooling is set up. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, to really work on your confidence is super important. And my top confidence tip that I love telling acupuncturists is this. Top secret tip.
Not for long.
It is, yeah, not for long. It is that acupuncture needles in anyone, anywhere, for anything will help them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So let me explain it a little further, because people hear this and they're like, what?
Yeah, they get cranky, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally. And my point is to not disregard everything that you've learned about points and their functions and point combinations. But I really want acupuncturists to not overthink and to learn to trust their ability in what they think their patient needs. And don't overthink if you're putting a needle in like the spleen channel versus the stomach channel, or, heart versus kidney, or if you're using 5 needles versus 10 needles, or unilateral versus bilateral, don't worry about that stuff or overthink about that stuff, especially in the very beginning when you're still working on building up your confidence.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't matter, because all you need to do is worry about treating that patient, and it help them. It will 100% help them.
Yeah.
So trust in the medicine and the body's ability to heal itself in the beginning while you're working on building up your confidence through the experience with your patients.
And naturally, through that sort of expression of trying to, figure things out, you gradually start to discover things as well. Because certainly in my experience, some of the things that I was taught at college, I didn't find worked. And then, I'd be like, oh, it's not really working. And is it me? Is it the medicine? I don't really know. And then I'd learn something else and I'd apply that and I'd go, this works really well for this particular situation.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important point you're making, because I really encourage acupuncturists to tap into that intuition and what they think is going to be best for their patient, and not be so much in their head about trying to remember the point combinations that they learned from school, but really just flowing in the treatment room with your patient and being really super present, exactly like what you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to someone yesterday just about this, and we were, another acupuncturist, and we were talking about the idea of when you go into the treatment room, you need to just let go of everything and trust that you're going to come up with the right decision, and not sit there panicking going, oh, I haven't treated this for ages, or I haven't treated this before, what am I going to do? Just trust your judgment, because you have done 4 years at college or 5 years or whatever it is, and you are educated. You're not going in blind. But I think that particularly when we, early in the piece, we're still trying to figure it out, we feel like we're a minnow. And yes, we are in some respects, but we're not. We've still got that 4 or 5 years under our belt, and I think we need to celebrate that and recognise that with regards to the confidence sort of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And so that ties in actually to my third point, which is because in the beginning, so I think a third thing that acupuncturists struggle with the most is like I call it scripts, like how you speak to your patients.
Yep.
And in the beginning, the most important thing with your patients, while you're still working on building up your confidence with your treatments, is your treatment plan and how many appointments that you get in the patient. So when you get that down, that's what's going to heal your patient, and that allows you that space to kind of to be able to, I guess, experiment with your treatments in the beginning, until you build up that confidence of, oh, I know I want to do this.
Yeah.
But when you get the right amount of treatments in, that's what heals the patient. So I find that one of the most powerful things that I teach acupuncturists is a treatment plan script.
Yeah.
And to really be able to explain a treatment plan to your patient the very first appointment that they're there, so they understand how acupuncture works, how many appointments they need, in what type of time frame, what to expect, when to come back. All that is so important to, the success not only of your practice, but the success of your being able to help the patient too.
Yeah. I'm just I'm so stoked to hear you say that, because that is probably my number one, is having that treatment plan conversation and having, as you say, a script. So we always recommend with practitioners to actually think about what you want to say and practice it a few times and get used to it. Not so much to become a robot, and not so much because you've got this sales pitch, but more so that you're able to really clearly articulate exactly what you want to be able to do, but done in such a way that you're showing confidence in the process.
Yes, exactly. Because a patient is going to come back to you if you're confident, but if you're like, you might need this many treatments, they're going to be like, this person doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly, yeah.
And I have a lot of acupuncture, because I always say, for acute patients, it's 6 treatments, and for chronic, it's 10.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of acupuncturists that say, well, what if it's not? And I'm like, it's okay if it's not, but you have to give them that contained box, the very first appointment, so your patient understands approximately what they're going to need.
Yeah.
Because we know that it's going to shift and flow with each patient as you reassess each time they come
Absolutely.
in. But you have to give your patient that structure, and that's so powerful for the success of your clinic. So powerful.
Well, if you can't get people to come back, then you can't fix them. You can't help them. Exactly. And that's one of the things that we find quite often. Practitioners will see someone once, but they won't have that conversation. The person doesn't come back because they didn't think they needed to. Exactly. Or 4 days later, the symptoms started to return and they think, well, that didn't work. But they didn't know that this is not how it works. And this is what we always talk about with practitioners. This is about client education and good communication, and making sure they're really clear, as you say, how this works, what to expect. And also that, even that box that you've given them is, based on your best professional experience, this is what I would expect. It's not a guarantee, but this is what I would expect in this sort of time frame. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and it's so interesting, because when I first started in practice and I started to tell my patients this, that you'll get better at 6 treatments, an interesting thing that happened was that I started to see patients always get better at 6 treatments. And I was like, is this because I'm telling them this? Or is this really how many treatments they need? So that's what's so really amazing about our medicine, is that there's so many components that go into it that heal your patient, but having that positive mindset, knowing you can help them, trusting the medicine, being confident in telling them when to come back, all that helps to heal your patient, and in turn helps to forward our medicine.
Absolutely. Because the more people that we help that we get positive results, the more they start to spread the news of what we can do out into the community. And a lot of practitioners sort of say to me, I'm quiet because there's not enough, there's too many practitioners out there and there's not enough clients. And I've never experienced that anywhere I've ever worked. And I've worked in 3 different cities in Australia in the last 5 years, and all practices have been 6-figure businesses based on me getting out into the community and educating the community. So, that's certainly...
That's mindset block. That's a mindset block in an acupuncturist.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's why that's the first thing that someone needs to work on is what are your mindset blocks, and what are the stories that you're telling yourself that are going to hold you back in business, because it doesn't matter what I coach someone unless their mindset is in the right spot first, you know?
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. Look, there's some really great tips there, Alyssa. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us all the way from Paris, I think, is it? Was it?
I'm in Paris today.
You're in Paris? Oh, you name dropper, you. But look, I'll pop the details of your website up on the video, and we'll have it on the webpage as well. But I'm just really, really pleased to have a practitioner out there doing the sort of work that you're doing, and doing it in such a way that there's really deep integrity with what you're doing. And that's why we wanted to speak with you today, because we really sort of rail against the coaches that are teaching people you can make $500 an hour, and that's the carrot that's dangled. We want practitioners to realise they can actually be human, can still have their heart in the process and still make a really good living in the process. So keep spreading the love, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.